The following episode of the Culture Trumpet podcast may contain some fruity language, outspoken opinions, and of course, the grumpy man from Leeds. Enjoy. Okay, we're back.
Was it recording?
No, it wasn't actually.
Is it definitely recording now?
I can see it going, I'm transcribing.
Will it transcribe me calling Dan a twat?
Waiting. Will it transcribe me calling done at once? Yes, it will.
Near enough.
Anyway,
Right.
yes, hello.
Okay.
We've been off for a while.
We have.
Now it was about a couple of weeks ago. We did try to get together and do a Oscars episode for the 95th Academy Awards, but we won't talk about it because it didn't go very well.
No, it didn't. We only got about half of it done because we were rambling. By the time
You were rambling.
we were rambling.
You were
By
rambling.
the time we were then free to finish it, the moment had passed. The ship had sailed. But basically, I think we spent most of the time saying how happy we were that Everything Everywhere All at Once had won a load. We had a couple of disappointments. Mine was on The Batman not winning Best Cinematography, which I thought was more than deserved for that film because it looked fantastic.
And mine was Top Gun Maverick didn't win as much as it did. Or it didn't win or get nominated for categories that I thought it would have. But, whatever.
But, Everything Everywhere, I think, is fantastic that came out of nowhere last year and it was on such a roll, winning award after award throughout the year. And I think the Oscars was just like the cherry on the cake for that film. Everyone involved was fully deserving of their awards.
Yeah, that's about it, really. That's the Oscars. Yeah,
that's it. So I think news-wise, I don't really think there's been much of note. So this week, we're going to focus on. This is going to be one of our kind of on generally topic of the week episodes where we just talk about one subject. And this week it is comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have...
even the grumpiest of people need a laugh now and again?
I don't know what you mean.
No.
So
it's just what the script says.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. So we're going to do a quiz where I'll win again.
Probably.
So that's fair enough. We do actually have a quick interview that we're going to put in. You may remember a few months ago we had Warren Badenski, an independent, one might say, micro-budget filmmaker from the UK, came on to talk about his filmmaking adventures. He's got a new film that he's just finished or putting the finishing touches to that's hopefully going to be out later this year. So he came back on to have a chat with me about that. So we'll drop that one in. And then we'll be back after that with the main bit of our topic of the week, which is our top. Well, we'll see how we get on, but the plan is our top 5 comedy films, top 5 comedy shows, and then our personal worst, most disliked comedy.
The best and the worst of comedy. And I think there are some excellent comedies and some dog-awful comedies, and we've got lists for both.
We have. I mean, in terms of the worst, I've only got one on there because most comedies, even a bad one, will get you 1 or 2 chuckles. But
yeah.
There's only one film, and I'm not going to spoil it now. There's only one that I have sat through without cracking a single smile.
We think this is going to be a good one. It's a bit more random. I would say it's a bit more random. They're all bloody random, but at least, it's probably a bit more light-hearted.
That's what we're after, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. How do you want to start it?
Shall we just crack on with the quiz and get your
Let's
defeat
do
out of the way?
Bloody quiz, and it's all uphill from there then, isn't
That's it?
Right then, insert that fantastically produced jingle?
Is it a chingle? Is it a chingle? Is that a mix between a tune and a jingle?
Well, I was thinking more of the famous sort of like disc-shaped crisp, and maybe a crisp Pringle jingle. I don't know. Anyway,
No,
I'll drop it in.
Jesus.
It's Dan versus Mark. It's Dan versus Mark.
Anyway, cool. Right, quiz. Usual format: 5 questions, 5 answers. They might be right, they might be wrong. Mark will probably win it. To keep on the theme of the episode, it's about comedies. So my questions contain questions. My questions contain questions? Yes. My questions contain both television and film.
Oh, mine are film only, but that's cool. Ooh.
So, yeah, I mean, well, we're not going to put any suspenseful music in there because we can't afford it. So, Mark, the first question is yours.
Does that mean I'm asking it or you're asking me?
A good question. You choose.
Hey. You can ask. You start. Go on, you ask me.
Okie dokie. Okay, question 1. What was Channel 4's The Inbetweeners originally going to be called?
Absolutely no idea.
That is not the answer I'm looking for, I'm afraid.
Can I get half a point if you give me a clue?
Not really, but
fine.
I'll give you a clue anyway.
Go on.
Okay, okay.
Nerds.
Is that an answer? I didn't give you a clue.
Yeah,
If you wasted your half a
nerds.
point.
I've wasted it. Go on.
Yeah, no, it's not that.
All right.
My clue would have been madness, and the answer is
Baggy trousers.
Yeah,
Oh, do you know?
that was there in the recessed pit of your brain, then, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
That is one that I do remember them saying.
There were some others. Let me just quickly in-betweeners. I'll give you some others as well. That it might have been called, but baggy trousers I think got quite close. Hang on. But other names did include, but baggy trousers was the most famous. Dickheads, Desperados,
Oh, right. Okay.
Legends,
Yeah. Right.
and 1, 2, 3, 4, which is terrible. But the pilot episode had a working title of baggy trousers, so that's why that makes much more sense. And a fun fact for all your fact fans: baggy trousers was filmed with James Buckley, Jay, originally cast as Neil.
Has the pilot ever been shown anywhere?
Do you know? I don't know. I'd
Interesting.
love to see it, but yeah. Anyway.
Sometimes they end up on YouTube or as extras, don't they? Or certain scenes anyway. Okay. All right. Interesting. Cool.
Good question.
Right. Yeah. Very good question. Right, okay. Airplane is an
Yes.
almost shot-for-shot remake of which serious drama?
I've seen this fact, but I can't remember it. Nah, not a clue.
0 Hour.
I wouldn't have got that.
So basically, the filmmakers bought the rights to the script for 0 Hour, and if there's a couple of like side by side comparisons on YouTube that you can see. The dialogue is basically 90% the same, but obviously they then threw in the visual gags and the right performers and all that, and Airplane was born.
Good film.
Very good film. Very good film. What 0 Hour or Airplane?
Considering I didn't know what 0 Hour was, I'm going to go with Airplane on that one.
Fair
Mark.
enough, yeah.
Anyway, okay, your question
Go.
2. What was the first comedy that Adam Sandler has starred in, directed, and written? So all 3.
I am gonna go with The Ridiculous Six.
Way earlier than that, my friend.
Oh, was it? Oh,
Way
okay.
earlier.
Okay.
The Waterboy was.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
So what was that? Late 90s? Maybe early 90s?
Possibly, yeah. Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a massive Adam Sandler fan.
Oh, neither am
I'll put
I.
one out there, but
But, they think comedy, so I thought, well, yeah, Adam Sandler.
again, and when I think comedy, Adam Sandler isn't the first name that comes to mind.
That's fair enough.
But fair enough. Okay,
But
right.
yeah, no.
That's a lot earlier than I would have thought. That's fair.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, well, neither of us are doing very well so far.
As long as both of us are doing terrible, I don't care.
Yes. So in Back to the Future,
Yes.
when Marty's back in the 1955, his future mother mistakes him and thinks his name is Calvin Klein. Remember that bit?
Yes.
Famous bit.
Finish your question.
In the French translation
Oh, you're a knob.
of the film, what name is used instead?
Oh, there's me thinking you're going to ask what colour are his pants. Purple. Oh, it's got to be some sort of French fashion person.
Mm.
But to be honest, French fashion isn't one of my fortes.
Oh, well, come on.
I know.
We need to do a fashion episode, clearly.
Really don't. Now, I don't know if he was around at that point. But hang on. Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, shortly his pants still said Calvin Klein, though, in the movie, so they just...
We never see the pants.
You watched
She
it.
she only says she saw the label on the pants. We never see
Interesting.
the label.
The only French fashion designer I know is Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Oh, no.
So that's the only one that comes to mind.
Not him. No, he was definitely not around back then.
No.
Pierre Cardin.
Nah, not a clue. That's a good piece of trivia, though, to be fair.
I see.
I'll have to ask one of my friends whose wife is French. See if she remembers seeing that as a child.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that was in the original French translation. They may have changed it back since then.
Now it's just Le Calvin Le Klein, isn't it?
Possibly. I think
Probably.
I think the Italian one was
Just hand movements.
Who was the Italian one? I think the Italian one was like Levi
Pepperoni.
Strauss. Now I'm going to leave that in.
I wouldn't know. Again,
I think the Italian one was Levi Strauss, but anyway.
I thought Levi's were American.
Yeah, but I guess it's which brands are more well known around the world.
That's valid.
What's
valid.
relevant? If you remember, in Demolition Man.
Nope.
Well, you know the film Demolition Man.
I'm aware it exists.
So Sylvester Stallone's character, policeman, wakes up in the future, and they talk about the fast food wars.
Oh yeah, I've
So
heard
in
about
America, in the American version, Taco Bell won the fast food wars, but because that is until recently an exclusively American chain, in the worldwide versions, it was Pizza Hut that won.
that. Fun fact.
So often they'll, maybe not so much these days, but certainly they used to change some of the references.
I mean, I have turned off, for the record. I've completely stopped listening. Because
Your
I
go.
could bore you with facts of Zootopia/Zootropolis, depending where you are geographically, because in some of the news reports, it's different animals. But I'm not going to bore you with it, because you didn't ask, like me.
Yeah, but
But
why is the
what,
name
Mark?
of the film different
But
in the
what?
first place?
But
why
what?
is the name of the film different in the first place?
Because if Americans have a problem with Topia, I don't know. Ask
No,
Disney.
There's something in, I think, Germany that had the same name, so it was
Yeah.
copyright.
Anyway,
your go.
see if you can get one. Question 3.
Yes.
2019's The Hustle, starring Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson, is a remake of which films? I'm only
Dirty
looking
Rotten
for...
Scoundrels.
Yes, I was only looking for the one.
Yep.
It's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is a remake of...
School for Scoundrels.
No, Bedtime Story,
Oh, okay.
apparently.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I remember watching The Hustle when it came out. I was like, this is quite fun. And my wife went, this is a bit like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. We Googled it. Went,
Yeah.
oh, it is. So we watched that.
Yeah.
We literally watched them back to back.
All right. And we know which is the better film.
Of course.
Yes.
Just to blow the bloody doors off. Anyway, your carry on.
I got one. Okay. Right then. Question 3. In the opening montage of Hot Fuzz,
Yes.
Nicholas Angel is stabbed by who?
Do you want the actor or do you want the character?
Well, I was going to give you a bonus point for the actor.
Santa Claus.
Yep.
Sir Peter Jackson.
Correct.
Boom.
Very
Not only
good.
did I get it right, I got the trivia bit too. Yes.
Yes. Fantastic. Well
How's the
done.
hand?
So that's 2 points.
How's the hand? A bit stiff. Oh, Mark, come on, let me down.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you got red on you. Anyway, let's carry on.
Wrong film.
I don't care.
Right. It's your go. Don't tell me to carry on.
True. Question 4. What item does Spotswood give Gary in case he needs to take his own life in Team America World Police? America.
Oh, Christ. Oh,
This is out there.
oh God.
Fuck
I
yeah.
don't know. Go on.
Hammer.
That was it.
That's all I wanted. A hammer.
The hammer.
It's so
Fucking hell.
stupid. What a film. What a film.
Okay. Right. In Spinal Tap,
Is.
what was the name of the band's first drummer?
Oh.
And, for a bonus point, how did he die?
Oh no. I've only seen Spinal Tap once and I remember
What
loving
the
I know. I remember loving the gags of the drummers, but I can't remember a fucking name. Sorry.
John Stumpy Peeps. And it was a bizarre gardening accident.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
No, not a clue.
All right.
This is dire. But we're laughing. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a comedy episode. We've got to laugh.
so your question 5, final question
Yeah.
to gain some
Yep.
points.
Yeah.
What date was the final episode of Faulty Towers aired? You may remember it very well.
Oh my God.
I will allow an allowance to try and get as close as you possibly can.
Can we go backwards from the year?
Yes.
Why would I remember it very well?
I'm calling you old.
Fuck off. 1978.
Year out. I'll have to give you that. 879.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't give you the answer. Sorry, carry on.
March.
No. October.
Oh, it's all right. Oh, well, there you go.
And hazard a guess at a
5th.
25th.
There
I'll give you a point though. That's not bad.
For what?
For 1978, I said I'll allow one either side. Well, I didn't.
Thanks. Very generous, thanks.
What? I'll change the question. We'll edit. It'll be fine. What year
Brilliant.
did the final episode of Faulty Towers air?
I'm going to go 1979, and I'm thinking October.
Yep.
Towards
I'm
the
I'm
end.
getting the word.
25th?
Oh, how could you possibly have known? Because you remember it well. Anyway,
That's it.
boom.
Right. Like it were yesterday. Last go. Last one for you. In The Big Lebowski,
Yaha.
what really tied the room together?
I don't fucking know.
Have
I've
you
seen
it?
that film once.
It's the rug, man.
Oh, I would have had an answer,
rug.
but that's
What
okay.
tied the room Why? What was
You
the
didn't
answer?
even give me a go.
You just said you didn't know.
Yeah, but I could have guessed
What would you have guessed?
the rug because my rug in my room. The rug in my room ties the room together, so I would have
Yeah.
guessed. Don't assume
Sure.
I don't know feng shui. Thank you
Feng
very
shui.
much. You fucking jumped the gun on that one, didn't you?
Well, that all went really well, didn't it? Okay. I
So
think-
let's quickly tot up all the answers. Hang on, let me just do some maths. You got 2.
Did I 2 points?
Yeah, you got dirty rotten scoundrels, and I gave you a pity point for Faulty Towers.
Well, you got 1 question right, but you got 2 points for that question.
So that's a draw.
That's a draw.
Oh, I don't even want to do a what do they call them? Tie break. Because I can't
No.
face it, to be honest with you. Oh, good effort.
Oh, yeah. Quiz out the way. We'll just have a change of tack with
Thank God.
with a quick interview once again with Warren, who's back to talk about his new film. That is just, as I said, putting the finishing touches to. So we just have a little chat about that, how it came about, some of the filming and kind of COVID challenges that he had. 'Cause it's been filming took place over a couple of years. And he's kind of prepping it now for some festivals and hopefully picking up some distribution. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah. I'll link to the trailer in the description so you can all check that out. It looks pretty good. A bit of a lighter tone than his last film, Simon, which was quite a dark movie. This one has still elements of darkness in it, but it looks a little bit more light. But yes, over to past me speaking to Warren a few days ago, and then we will be back with our top fives and our worst. So see you soon. Right then, so we are back again having a chat with Warren Badenski, who joined us a few months ago now, just to talk about his adventures in I guess micro budget filmmaking, the ups and downs and the ins and outs of getting movies made and funded and distributed. And Warren is back now to talk about his upcoming film called Dead Name. There's a trailer that's just been released, which we'll include in the a link in the description. So I just wonder if you can start off, Warren, just giving us a little overview of the story, just a kind of brief synopsis of the new movie.
Yeah, I should really think of my synopses before coming on. The movie is about a hit woman called Nia, who's sort of retired and trying to find herself in life, and she's dragged back into the fold because her brother has wronged a rival crime family, and it's going to start a gang war, and their price to stop them from murdering everyone is for her to take him out, basically. So
Okay.
she goes on the hunt for him, and she's led down a path of dark nightmares that are some are like real nightmares and some more spiritual and figurative that seem to start blending their way into her world.
Okay, so I've taken a look at the trailer. It does look quite fun. Well, I don't know if fun's the right word. It looks a good mix of kind of there's some kind of obviously realistic elements and some fantasy kind of imagery in there. The tone looks a little light in places. I think, am I right in thinking it's a bit of a lighter tone than Simon was?
I think it's much more of a mixture because I keep calling it sort of a horror thriller. It's kind of on the verge, like if I could link it, it'd be something very, very akin to like a David Lynch movie. Mulholland Drive was a big influence.
Oh, right, okay.
And the film sort of delves with that. So we kind of start with what seems to be almost like a Guy Ritchie style crime movie and move more and more into this surrealist, dark territory as the film goes on. In fact, it's almost the opposite way round to the trailer, where the trailer starts dark.
Yes.
It's more light.
The lightness, I think, actually, you mentioned Guy Ritchie there. That I was getting those kind of vibes from it, which is where I perhaps got the kind of lighter element of it. But now you mentioned David Lynch and Mulholland Drive, I'm guessing it's maybe not going to be quite such plain sailing as that. So I think when we spoke before, you said that you're in kind of preparing pre-production for this film. Was that right?
I think we were in just starting sort of post. I think.
Okay. You'd filmed already.
Yeah, we started filming back in 2019.
Right.
And we got most of the movie done, and then the pandemic happened. And we had to work out a couple of ways to either get actors to finish a couple of scenes where they couldn't be together. Or, and then after the pandemic cooled down, we did a couple of reshoots to add an extra sort of horror disturbing scene earlier in the film to push a bit more into the horror territory.
Okay, so in terms of the funding and so on for this one, is this were you able to get all the money you needed ahead of time based on this, the performance of your previous films?
This one kind of managed to get sort of a private investment from someone that gave us the majority of the money, and then we kind of lucked out of the pandemic as we sort of spent the money, and then once the pandemic happened, that gave us some time to edit and things, but also gain a bit more money to do the finishing touches.
So how close to a finished film are you now then?
We're fully finished. At the moment, like if I look at it now, I'm just gonna keep changing things as my mind changes. So I've had to like
Yeah.
put the kibosh on it and just like that's it, it's finished. I got everything I want in there. So I love it watching it. And now I'm just gonna like if I look at it, I'm just gonna be like regrading things that I'm already happy with, but
Yeah.
seeing something else, I'm like, oh, that grade looks cool.
Is that difficult to kind of resist the temptation sometimes? Because I know obviously there were lots of films of all kind of budgets and scales that were delayed over the pandemic, and some were kind of just finished and the filmmakers left them alone. But obviously some others would have taken the opportunity to tinker and, as you say, add more footage or tweak it here and there. How do you know when to stop?
So it's a good question. I found that originally we came in a little short. We were about 72 minutes long. So we were a little short for what I wanted us to be.
Yeah.
But and then something came along and I decided to add chapters to the film to make it a bit more not Pulp Fiction or like Zack Snyder's Justice League kind of thing. It's funky with those. And then when we added the extra scenes, once I added the extra bits, I watched it with a few people. And usually when I watch my own things, I get very nervous, very frightened, and it's just sweat and anxiety the whole time. And when I watched it that time, I watched it, enjoying it as a movie. It's like, okay, I should leave it alone now. I'm watching it as a film, and everybody's having a good time with it.
Yeah.
People are sharing it with, and I'm having a good time with it. Like, this is it.
Yeah, okay. So that point at which you're happy and there's you can't, I guess, not being big-headed, but you can't see any further improvement that could be made then, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Until when you start feeling like, oh, I'm just going to change the movie completely, make something different, and it's like that's not the movie I made.
I suppose it can be difficult if it's just kind of you sat watching it on an endless loop while you're tweaking until I guess until you get some feedback from other people.
Yeah, especially because you see every flaw in the film. You're like, oh, is that person? Oh, that bit's just a touch out of focus, or there's a camera wobble there. And you watch it with someone who doesn't know what they're looking at, hasn't spent 100 hours staring at every minute detail.
Yeah.
If they don't notice anything, you're like, oh, okay.
So just touching on, I guess, I'm guessing that this is something that is potentially spoiler territory, so I don't want to get into it in too much depth if it is. The name of the film obviously has meaning for
yes,
for LGBTQ plus community. So I'm guessing that's not an accidental choice.
No, it's not. It was a placeholder title. It is very much entwined with what the film's about, or the subtext, the way we sort of tell the story is about. And I found like a lot of people who aren't in that community didn't understand the title, and it sounded cool to them.
Sure, yeah.
The people who I know in that community, and granted it's not a huge amount of people, they all thought the title was really good as well. Like I didn't know if it was going to be too on the nose, or if it's going to just ring offensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is part of the story and some reveals later on. But I think the film also works if you know what it is when you're going in as well. It'd just be really interesting to see if people work it out.
Yeah, and it is a cool name, to be fair. It is a cool name. So I guess in terms of the cast and crew for the film, are these kind of people that you've worked with before? Are there any, or are you going out to kind of get some new people involved, either in front of the camera or behind?
There's a little bit of both. So Caspian, most of my lead roles I'd worked with on a short film, like if I'm looking, because I was looking for more local talent, because I used to live in London when I did the first film, and I ended up moving to Swindon down in Wiltshire. So trying to get people down from London is, fairly straightforward, but sometimes those train tickets like really hike up in price.
Yes, yeah.
So Looking for more local people, I sort of found some and failed miserably on other fronts. But the main leads I worked with on some short films.
Mm-hmm.
So I originally had some money and made a couple of short films that were supposed to be part of an anthology series that
Right.
we were setting up with a bunch of local filmmakers. And I met them for that, and we shot some stuff, and I made my shorts. But the project fell apart because nobody else made their shorts, and there was a lot of sort of weird behind the scenes politics going on that
Right.
one.
Okay.
But when I met Caspian on that one, I then got the idea for this film. I thought, oh, they'd be good for this.
Mm.
And they've got sort of a fairly androgynous look, and it turns out they're non-binary as well.
Okay. Right.
So I'd like to say I could take credit for casting as someone from the community, but I just lucked out. They just happened to like fit the energy I was looking for, and it turned out, oh, that's why.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. One thing I have to ask about the masks that we see in the trailer and on the film's Facebook page. There's some nice shots. Where are they from? Were they made for the film, and who put those together for you if they were?
They weren't. So the wolf's masks just happened to be store bought and sort of like repainted a little.
Okay.
I think it was actually my mum that did that because she always wants to work on film stuff and she's very artistic. She made some masks for another film that I worked on called The Heiress.
Okay.
There's some old Victorian style masks. So I asked for help on that. And then there's another character called The Shadow, which is mostly just like one of those morph suits and the black suit just to
Oh, of
then the
course.
contrast
Yeah.
knocked up to give them a more blank look.
Okay. No, that's cool. Certainly in terms of the visual style. Again, obviously, trailers are kind of there to highlight and get people in, but it does look like I don't know how to say this without it sounding like damning with faint praise, but it looks like a bit of a step up, let's say, in terms of the visual style and the kind of production values and quality. If that's not being rude about your older work.
That absolutely is the case because we had better cameras, we were more experienced.
Yeah.
So I shot with my DP Keith, and we've now created a much better shorthand on this one, and we just had a bit more crazy flow. Like there was no idea that was too crazy, and I wanted to collaborate a lot more on this one. I decided for the first film I was just I ended up going to, I think, mainstream or trying to be mainstream and not having millions to do it with. And this one I thought, okay, we're gonna be a niche cult film. Like, let's come. If anybody has a crazy idea for how to shoot something, let's go for it. So we get more extreme with some of our angles, like taking influence from everywhere, and just going with more gut feeling was my design for this one. Instead of trying to plan everything or have a plan, but also just like going with my gut to try and like figure out, not overthinking stuff.
Yes.
And it worked out, luckily.
Did you have a bit more money on this one as well?
Yeah, so we had a bit more money, so we could pay people this time, or pay most people this time. And we had a better camera, so we upgraded to the Blackmagic cinema camera.
Oh, right. Okay. That is quite a big upgrade.
Yeah, so we were Canon 600Ds on Simon.
Yeah.
Very small, and then these Blackmagics. And because they're a bigger sensor as well, like you don't need as much light
of course
to get through scenes, which helps. And I learned to color grade much more, so I could play with the looks of scenes.
Yeah.
And I knew what I kind of wanted going in, so all I had to do was get the lighting right on how I wanted the scene to look, and if I wanted to change and if I knew what the colors were in my head, I could kind of visualize what that was going to look like with the lighting styles. So if we didn't have the proper gels, I knew I was like, I can change that to be kind of like purple. But we also has gels for things, so there's like where we blow out with blue and Have all sorts of crazy like dream sequences in the film.
So in terms of those cameras, are they 4K or higher?
This is the 4K one,
Yeah.
so I ended up buying a sort of second-hand one
Right.
because I think the Pocket or the Ursa just come out when we were filming. So I was like, let's go back a generation because it's cheaper,
Oh yeah.
but it still does what I need it to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's not suddenly become a bad camera.
Did you find in that increase in resolution meant you had to be more how can I put it? I remember when there was the jump in on TV from standard definition to high definition. A lot of the TV shows kind of suddenly realized they had to have a lot more detail in their sets, and they had to work a lot harder because all of a sudden these new cameras were picking up a lot of the imperfections, let's say, in could be props. Even I think some actors were concerned that their wrinkles would finally show up and they'd look older. Did you find any disadvantages in that jump to 4K in terms for all the, as you say, the bigger sensor, lower light, etc., etc.? Were there any downsides that you found in that increase?
I don't think we did specifically on anything within the scene because I think we have the same trait that I think a lot of indie filmmakers think of, where they end up building a scene too much. Like when you seem to see bigger productions, they basically sort of get what's going to be on in the shot, while we're sort of like agonizing what posters on the wall, and we're never shooting that direction. So, and a lot of the places we used were existing locations. So I think the hardest thing is when we had blank walls behind.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and you're like trying to find something to put behind someone, so it's
Yeah.
slightly more interesting. The other thing that's difficult is noticing when the lens is dirty because the screen on the actual camera, and we didn't have field monitors, because that's a downside for the original 4K. Is it's only got an SDI port, so no HDMI. And at the time,
Right.
we weren't thinking, because I'm used to shooting through a viewfinder anyway.
Yeah.
So we were used to just looking through that. But every now and again, you get a scene where the lens was dirty, and we'd have to like reshoot it after trying to edit it together. And the other thing, I guess, is space, because shooting in 4K takes up a lot more memory, so you end up buying way more sort of external hard drives.
Yeah. Does that? Yeah, I was thinking of that as well, because obviously now you're asking the computer to deal with files that are, what, four times the resolution, something like that.
Yeah.
So does that then slow down the editing process while you're waiting, or is it an excuse to go off and buy a new PC?
I'd love to buy a new PC. Been trying to get the family on board to like chip in because it's so expensive. I actually have a MacBook that I edit on, and I was terrified that we wouldn't be able to edit because it's a MacBook, and it actually edits fine, but it's the rendering where you try and render out a file.
Oh, right.
So like, okay, leave that overnight, and the next day.
God.
Yeah, I had a funny moment where funny couple times where we ended up having a break so long in the film. Several of the actors changed their professional names.
Oh,
So
right. Okay.
I had to finish edit all locked, and then suddenly found out on Facebook one of the actors had a different name. I was like, do you want me to update your name in the film? I was like, oh no, it's fine. They'll just put as so and so in the film. Like, yeah, but with our title, I feel it's wrong to misname you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you raise a good point. And then somebody else got another change on their agent's recommendation, and then just recently another one. None of them told me.
Well, that's useful.
So their names changed. It's like, do you want me to update this? And then it took like a day and a half to re-render.
So So you've mentioned there David Lynch and Guy Ritchie. So in terms of your influences, then for this film, not just for this film, but in general, who who's kind of had a biggest impact on you in terms of the kind of genres that you've tackled and kind of where you want to head in the future? Where are those influences coming from?
Ooh. Got a couple. So, one of my original sort of like film influences was kind of, and this is gonna be like a left field choice. It's Paul W.S. Anderson. He did like the Resident Evil's, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But somehow he made those like $40 million movies seem kind of accessible while still being stylish. And the audio commentaries that he does for his films are full of so much technical info.
That's true.
So it's always something very big to learn. David Lynch was another massive influence on this one for sure. Just in style and like being able to do things outside the box. And the other big one for this was Takashi Miike, Japanese director.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of his movies, and of course, a lot of his early films are super, super micro budget.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, like some of them are like less than the equivalent of sort of 10 grand. And I'm always fascinated because there's one, I think it's a film called Family, where they shoot a scene on the beach at night, but the camera can't pick up low light that well, so they just crank up in the scene the gain for it, and it goes down to like 15 frames a second, something. So it's super grainy, like they're moving weirdly because it's the wrong like frame rate.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel bad, like it feels intentional, and like this is part of it. So I took influences from that kind of thing, and like blowing out the colors and things. There's another film of his. I want to say it's called For the Sake of Love.
Right.
And it goes through every kind of weird color grading and things. It's a musical as well. Sometimes the songs they'll like blow up the film grain on it, and then they'll put up the contrast and saturation, and then jump back to how like the rest of the scene's shot, and then they'll just change the lighting completely. And so I was like, if he can do stuff like that, then I can kind of do, like, I'm free to do stuff like that as well. Not exactly trying to copy him, but like it opens up ideas.
Yeah, that you don't have to be constrained by. Yeah, okay. So obviously, as I said last time, we were talking about kind of filmmaking in general. You'd finished filming on this one and were doing the edit. Have you got your next project lined up? Do you know what you're doing for your next film?
Yeah, actually, I'm casting it at the moment.
Okay, right. And anything you can tell us about it so far?
This one's going to be something slightly different. This one's more of a sort of heist and female revenge movie, sort of mixed together.
Okay.
Decided for this one, I'm going a bit more back to basics. I've got a few independent investors interested, and they're up for funding it. And I just wanted to do something that's outside of the realm of horror, just to say, I've done it. So if I get like pigeonholed into horror, I'll be happy as I can be, and I can just say like I did something different once as well.
Are you kind of looking around at any other genres, kind of sci-fi or more fantasy, or is horror your kind of main area at the moment?
I'd definitely take any of those if I had an idea that I thought would work for it, or if I found like a script, like something I want to try and do next after this is try and work on someone else's scripts.
Okay.
So I've only shot stuff for me, or I've worked as like just a camera operator and editors on other people's stuff.
Yeah.
I'd actually be really interested in directing off somebody else's script.
Okay. Well, that okay. And where are you at with this film in terms of screenings or distribution deals or anything like that? Is it close to being seen by people, and how's the release looking?
At the moment, we seem to be just in that lull of waiting for festivals to decide if they're showing us or not. So we've got, I think, midsummer we get most of those answers for possible like viewings September onwards.
Okay. Oh wow, that far away.
Yeah, there's like a big wait. Like we had a few that we submitted to last year that decided they didn't want it for some reason. But I ended up talking to someone who sort of like promotes stuff online, like does film promotion things as a job, and they kindly just gave me some advice that basically you need to sort of build an audience to get festivals more interested in seeing you, because it seems like a lot of the festival circuit is about, they want to bring in an audience. So if you've got one, they're more likely to show you off because they'll get more people in than if you're a completely unknown kind of entity. Same with the distributors. I'm gearing up to talk to some distributors. So again, trying to show that like, hey, we kind of got this audience. Like we think would be this cool, quirky thing to add to your catalog.
Well, I mean, your previous films seem to have done okay for those distributors, so hopefully they shouldn't take too much persuasion.
Anyway, yeah. Simon seems to be doing pretty well. At the moment, we're still on Netflix, so we're still on Prime. We survived, I think, 2 purges on Prime.
Oh, really? Okay. So you're still getting your little notifications through when someone buys it on Prime or rents it?
I'm waiting for my. It all goes to the distributor, and I have to get some reports. And
Right.
like, granted, the last year, we didn't. I get so many views on Simon, but I think that's mostly because like I haven't been promoting it or anything. I've been moving on to this one and things. So yeah, it didn't do a huge amount of business, but so I let it go and like waiting for the next big one. So we should get our first like Netflix information like later on in April.
Okay. Well, I'll be interested to see how it's doing if it's still on there. I guess.
Yeah.
Netflix do seem to be fairly ruthless with things. If people aren't watching it, they're quick to get rid of it, aren't they? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently, the reviews have been quite good on Netflix. I've been told. Someone was saying I should be proud. And I was like, really? Yeah, the reviews are really good. I thought, oh, cool. I don't tend to read them. I'm that crazy person who sees 10 good ones, 1 bad one, and then fixate on the bad one.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a rabbit hole if you kind of go down that route, can't it? I think a lot of filmmakers try and avoid reading reviews for the same reason.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was just going to say, I also see a bunch of filmmakers who get like take it really personally, get upset, and then start fighting with people online. And I'm more like, someone can dislike a movie, it's fine. Like, but it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay, well, it sounds really, really promising how things are going. I did enjoy the trailer. Like I say, I like the kind of change in tone. I'd certainly be interested in maybe catching up again once you've heard back from some of the festivals, and we've got hopefully some dates for when people will be able to watch the film.
Amazing.
So definitely keep in touch, and we'll have another chat later in the year. Until then, thanks again for coming back and having another chat. And
so thanks for having me.
No problem. By all means, when your next film, because you seem to be a workaholic, so when your next film is gearing up and ready, again, give us a shout and we can give you a plug and have a chat.
Absolutely.
And all best of luck, and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished film.
Well, thank you very much.
It's time for topics of the week.
And we're back in the room.
Lovely. So that was Warren. As I said, I will drop a link to the trailer into the description so you can check that out. And we'll hopefully hear from him again when the film is due for release and for any future projects he's got coming along. So now, back to the chuckles. with some comedy chat.
Agreed.
Let's start with our top 5 comedy films.
Top 5 comedy films. Okay. I mean, comedy's so subjective. You can, you've got so many different styles. Your black comedy, your slapstick, and all that kind of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you're a kid, comedy is very slapstick. Somebody getting hurt, and oh, it's funny. And, I don't think they've made a decent, belly-hurting comedy, like side-splitting comedy for years. Or I've not been given one to watch kind of thing. I think the last film I remember going to see that I was properly hurting and my face was hurting from smiling was The Hangover, which I don't think is considered an all-time great. But at the time, I thought it was hilarious. So, I wouldn't put it my top favourite, but for me, The Hangover is up there. 2 is a bit shit, and 3, I think, ties it all up really well. But yeah, the Hangover films, I think, are very fun. Decent concept. We've all. Some of us have been on stag do's. There's always that one person that takes it too far, and I think it's semi-relatable. But when you're watching it at 15, it isn't. But getting drunk on a night out and going, "Oh shit, what did we do?" We've all been there at least once.
Okay. Is that your number 1 then?
No, I didn't say it was my number 1. I just say it's up there in the top 5. I don't know what would be my favourite. I got a couple. Got a couple brewing.
Okay, but that's one of your top 5.
Yeah, I say so.
Okay. I'm going to kick mine off. I guess in no particular order. I'm going to kick mine off with Team America.
Fuck yeah!
Fuck yeah! Just ridiculous. I mean, it's beyond ridiculous. I mean, it's just from start to finish, it's just fucking insane.
Because not only is it like obviously it's from the creators of South Park, it's offensive.
Yes.
They are impersonating all these world famous actors that didn't have a say. But most important, it's done with fucking puppets. Come on.
Yeah, it is brilliant. It's just technically, it's fantastic, right? I mean, it's just, as you said, puppets, the model work, everything is just absolutely spot on in that kind of Thunderbirds style. The jokes are fantastic. The voice acting, and it's
Matt Damon.
It's
so offensive, but
Durka.
Oh,
I mean, it's just
don't.
It's insane, and it's like I'm not gonna do this whole kind of they wouldn't get away with it now.
Oh, you've spoiled what I'm going to talk about later then.
but
they couldn't. No, they couldn't. The world is such a different place. When did that come out? What, 2003, 2000?
Something like that, yeah. 2004.
Oh, close enough.
But it's just there's the puppet sex scene.
Oh, the throwing up scene is very good.
Have you seen the uncut version?
No.
Which was released, I think, only on American DVD. It wasn't released worldwide, and I don't think it's ever been released on Blu-ray. But the uncut version includes a longer sex scene, of course, which includes one of the characters shitting on the other one.
Oh no, I have heard about that. Oh no,
it's just like what the fuck is this?
But it was I remember watching one of the featurettes, and it was like, we need to do this now because we'll never be able to do it again, and they're probably not going to let us do another one.
Yeah.
And don't forget, that was the original Kim Jong, who's now dead.
Yeah.
But the fact his little sing song is such a silly film.
And I think it's one of those examples you hear about it often, but it's one of those examples where they intentionally pushed it so far that even after they'd been made to edit it down to avoid an NC-17 rating, they ended up with the film they wanted. It's like the sex scene was intentionally so over the top
that whatever got cut, you knew it was still going to be ridiculous.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is what the MPAA would focus on
Oh, I see.
and say that has to go because it's so
we don't
over
we
the
don't
top.
like steamrolling, but everything else crack
Exactly.
on.
Exactly. It's just like they focus on that so much that they kind of forget all the other offensive stuff. So
That's a very common technique for ratings, though, isn't it?
it says you have those sacrificial shots.
Yeah.
That draw attention away from the other stuff that you want to keep in, and I think that's a perfect example. But if you ever find the American DVD somewhere cheap and you've got a multi-region player,
Do it.
Just insane.
Okay,
But,
that's
yeah,
a good
Team
recommendation.
America.
I'll
Brilliant.
also throw in there again from South Park the bigger, longer, and uncut film.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very fun movie. I've
Yep.
not given any of the new ones on Paramount Plus a go because I don't watch South Park, but I watch that as a film, and it's again super offensive, super silly, but
Yep.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very good recommendation there.
Mm.
Okay, so another film that I'll go with a TV show this time. Growing up, I used to like comedy TV shows. My parents used to watch them, and as you sort of turn a tween, you're allowed to sort of watch something a bit later, something a bit more blue. One of the first TV shows that I remember watching, which was an outright comedy, was Phoenix Nights by Peter Kay.
Oh yeah,
Still one of my favourite. It's a limited series, only 2, like 12 episodes or something, and I go through a rewatch of it every year or two. I still think it's brilliant.
yeah.
Some of that, you probably wouldn't be able to make those gags these days.
Mm.
But the thing that I think people find it strange that I relate to it, people find it strange that I like it so much is because I'm not from like where I've grown up. There wasn't like working men's clubs, the club circuit. So, but I don't know what it is. I'm a big Peter Kay fan, and it's just so again, it's just silly. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've forgotten all about Phoenix Nights, to be honest. But you're right; it is a fantastic show.
I'd love to see another series because again, I don't think with these kinds of limited series, you look at The Office, Faulty Towers, without giving too much away. It's they know when to stop, but I don't think they've done enough with Phoenix Nights. But I know there was a big falling out with some of the creatives and Peter's ego.
Yeah.
So I get
but
it.
You say they know when to stop, but John Cleese is doing another series of fucking.
Yes, because he's got the 5th divorce to pay for. Don't forget.
Yeah,
and he's become this. We'll talk about Cleese in a minute because the knobhead has got some answering.
Yeah, I think with Phoenix Nights, I don't know if I'd like to see another one because I do think it's a product of its time.
Not think it would be funny for Potter now running like a Spoons or a nightclub because that's the way that the world's moved.
Maybe, I guess, maybe. But those characters were very much in that world.
Yeah, I get that.
And I don't know whether they would all
still be in that world,
or whether they would translate to a different world.
No, I get it.
Because he did like the Max and Paddy stuff, didn't he? Which was the spin-off.
Yeah, that was good.
Which was all right. But yeah, but I like that he's gone off and he's done like Car Share. I thought Car Share was fantastic.
That was good.
I love Car Share.
Good dogging.
That scene is, and I like that because when you watch the outtakes and the bloopers, he's laughing just as much in the finished scenes as he is in the outtakes. It's like I like that they kept a lot of the genuine laughs and giggles.
Yeah, my favorite
the
scene
stuff
from
with
that,
Reece Shearsmith.
I was gonna say our friend. I say our friend of the podcast. He's never been on you, but we talk about him quite a lot.
Here come the hot stepper. Oh God!
My favourite scene from that though is where Peter runs out to put post in the post box because he's at a red light, and then he starts running back and he just goes ass over tit. And I don't know what it is, but you just think, oh, okay, he's running back. It's so silly.
The one where there's the fancy dress party and there's the Smurf.
I can't remember that.
There's the workmate dressed up as a Smurf, but it's fucking Varys from Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Right.
I remember that now.
And he's like pissed, or she, the character's fucking
Yeah,
hammered.
yeah,
But the voice keeps dropping to
yeah.
her loads more. It's like, you know. And
I
they're just
forgot it was
fucking
Lord
cracking
Varys.
up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway, that wasn't
Oh,
car share
I
wasn't
just
mine.
watch car share bloopers endlessly.
Yeah,
Sorry, it wasn't yours.
Phoenix
You chose
Nights.
Phoenix Nights, but good choice.
I
Great
realised
choice.
I was not really prepared for this. I'm winging it. Most of mine are TV shows. Anyway, carry on.
That's all right. How many have you got in total?
I've probably got. Well, I've done 2, but I've probably got
Okay.
another couple. But honourable mentions, I'll go with.
Oh, no, yeah. No, but but also, sorry, if you go back to Phoenix Nights, you can see a lot of those performers in that have then since gone on to kind of be in a lot of other programs as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Paddy McGuinness comes to mind. I
Yeah.
like Paddy. I didn't rate him as a stand-up,
Mm.
and I think he got it off the back of he's a funny actor.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really like him as a presenter. I loved him on
Mm.
Top Gear because that was what Top Gear needed when those 3 left, and
Yeah.
Chris Evans got sacked
Yeah.
he's just a shouting ginger prick. Not that his haircut has got anything to do with him being a shouting prick,
No.
but to make sure you know who I'm on about.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. And Paddy seems a genuinely nice bloke. Doesn't
He does,
forget
to
his
be fair.
roots from Bolton.
Yeah. And he just seems to genuinely enjoy what he does.
I'm sad that Dave Spikey, Jerry St. Clair, he doesn't do much anymore. But I know him,
Yep.
Neil Fitzmaurice, who played Ray Vaughan, and
Yep.
Peter. They all, I think, had a bit of a hoo-ha because it was always Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights, and Peter Kay was winning the awards.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. So I'll go to TV for my next one. And that's, I'm slightly cheating here just because I couldn't pick one, right? Anything with Vic and Bob.
seriously.
Yeah.
So, what, like Shooting Stars?
I love Vic and Bob. I remember when Vic Reeves' Big Night Out first started back
1945.
back on Channel 4, I was hooked. Absolutely. I love just like surreal, absurdist humour.
Now,
And then they had Bang Bang, Smeller Reeves and Mortimer, Shooting Stars, House of Fools. Oh, and then they revived Big Night Out on BBC 4. Oh, just love them.
so
Absolutely love
my
'em.
first introduction to Vic Reeves was when he took over from Brainiac. Took over on Brainiac from Richard Hammond.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
But then as I've grown up, I've watched Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer, and I don't
Yeah.
like them together. However,
Oh.
put Bob Mortimer on his own on not Would I Lie to You?
Yep. Yeah.
Best episode you'll watch for that season.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I can get where you're coming from, but I think you had to. Again, I'm not calling you old on this point, but I think that's a generational thing.
Possibly.
I don't
yeah.
get it.
Because when they started, there was no one like them.
No, agreed.
That absurdist kind of thing. They had a bit of a. They had elements and kind of callbacks to people like Morecambe and Wise. Certainly Vic, in terms of Eric Morecambe, very kind of reminiscent in some of his kind of mannerisms. But as a double act and as a show that they did, like Big Night Out and
Yeah.
Bang Bang and Smell, nothing like that was on television. And then obviously when they did Shooting Stars, and it just completely deconstructed the whole panel show
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I guess you had to be there.
No,
I guess you
I
had
can
to.
appreciate that.
Hmm.
That's
But,
that's a very honourable mention.
having said
a worthy mention.
Having said that, you're right. Bob Mortimer on his own on Would I Lie to You? Bob and Paul Go Fishing. Love that program. He's great with anyone.
Yeah.
Vic and Bob together work obviously as a pair perfectly. But I don't think Vic works with anyone else. Vic only works with Bob.
Yeah.
I don't mean work as in it won't work with anyone. As in terms of like a double act, his thing only really is with Bob, if you know what I mean. Whereas
yeah, I
Bob
follow.
Bob can kind of go off and do his thing on his own, or with Paul Whitehouse, or in a panel show. He's much more flexible in terms of his style and fitting in with other presenters and other formats. Whereas Vic is either it's Vic and Bob or Vic on his own,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
it does.
But yeah, okay, go on then.
Okay. Not an honourable mention. This is a straight up comedy film that I remember watching for the first time, and it's going to sound bad. I'd love to get hit in the head so I could forget it and watch it for the first time again.
I mean, that can be arranged.
Step Brothers.
Okay.
Because it was the first film that I watched with Will Ferrell that I didn't want to gouge my eyes out.
Oh, wow.
I actually thought it was funny.
All right, okay.
And I can't... the bloody director's going to annoy me. One sec. Elf.
Was it Adam McKay?
Yeah. So it's an Adam McKay movie who I've seen a few of, and obviously he's done loads, and I find him quite amusing.
Yeah.
I don't always find Will Ferrell funny, which I think is a well-known fact from various different people.
Yeah.
But that film I just thought was great. It was stupid, and those people do exist that never grow up, never leave home, and but it's just the stupid brotherly shit. Like I'm an only kid, I don't have to worry about that. But who's teabagging you teabag my drum set, and it's just like the pranks they pulled, and we got build bunk bed. I thought it was fucking brilliant.
It is a film. Now, I am a Will Ferrell fan, and I'm a John C. Reilly fan. But it's a film that when I first watched it, I wasn't that keen on. It's one that it's not. It was funny. I just don't remember it as like a highlight of either of their filmographies. But I think it's one that maybe I just need to go back and watch again. But I am a fan of both of them. And as you say, Adam McKay's made some great films over the years. So yeah, no, that's a good call. That's a good call. That's me. That's a me problem that it's not that it's not one of my favourites. If you know what I mean, I do need to go and check it out again. My next one is we've talked about it already briefly, and there's not much else to be said. Airplane.
I mean, that's about it, isn't it?
That's it. I mean, I was tossing up between the Airplane, Top Secret, or Naked Gun, but it started with Airplane, really. So I think that's the one you've got to kind of go with. Classic. There you go. It's funny every single time.
Very good.
And it relaunched Leslie Nielsen's career as a comedy actor because he'd been a serious dramatic actor before then.
Was he?
Yeah, he was he was a proper drama actor, and he did. I mean, he was in Forbidden Planet, and lots of other drama stuff, and that was the first thing he did that was a comedy. But they got him because he was a dramatic actor, and that would make it funnier because he was playing it straight.
I agree. I've watched that. I watched it for the first time a couple of years ago, and again, most of the jokes are of its era.
Yeah.
And throughout the film, I was like, "Oh, this isn't too bad. This is very much of its time." But the one joke that I think sent me over the edge of, "Oh my god, that definitely wouldn't get away with today," was, "Oh, Air Israel, please hold." And then they cut to the plane, and it's got a beard, and it's like, oh my fucking god. Because I watched it for the first time a number of like 2 or 3 years ago, and I watched it semi recently on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it for the second time, but there's lots of things you miss. But yeah, it's good.
I think it's one of those ones that there's an adage that the best in a comedy, none of the characters should know they're in a comedy.
Right.
Everyone in the film should play it straight. And apart from a couple of, there's one bit in Airplane where Ted Stryker looks at the camera and goes, "What a pisser," when Elaine walks off, right? But that's the only kind of fourth wall breaking bit. Everyone is dead serious.
Oh, except for that over the top guy in the air traffic control center, who
Oh yes.
I didn't feel he added much.
No, but he was funny.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like that thing of like the best comedies are ones where the characters don't know they're in a comedy.
Yeah, agreed.
What's happening to them is real and it's serious. And this is like the template for that, because you've got dramatic actors, you've like Leslie Nielsen, like Robert Stack, like Lloyd Bridges, and they are all serious actors, but they're saying and doing ridiculous things in a very serious way, and that's what you need. That's what you need.
No, that's a very, very good shout.
Right, your go.
Okay, it's another TV show. I think I prefer comedy TV shows, doing my list.
Mm-hmm.
My honorable mentions will include films. Anyway, one of the TV shows that I come back to regularly is not one of these like nice long running comedies, because you've got to work harder to make them funny over a number of years. So
Yeah.
I used to watch The Big Bang Theory. I used to think it was brilliant. It finished. I wouldn't go back and watch it again. How I Met Your Mother, exactly the same. These really long running sitcoms.
Mm.
So I like short, concise comedies. You know, it is a laugh a minute, but they don't have to drag it and beat a dead horse.
Yep.
Some might say the third series of the show I'm about to tell you was crap. Some might say it didn't need a second film. I'd argue they're perfect. Mentioned it earlier, The In-Betweeners. Still think it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
It's very relatable to anybody who went to school in Britain.
Yep.
I think at any age. So I watched it for the first time when I wasn't in A-levels. So, I wasn't 17, 18. Thought, oh, that's funny. I knew people who were doing that age. But once I went through it myself, and you are trying to get served down the pub, and you are trying, you got any ID? Oh, no, trust me, mate, I'm 18. It's very relatable.
Yeah.
You've got that idiot friend. You've got the one that is always making stuff up. I mean, I met my making up friend at university, not in school, but you know people like them.
Yes.
And the film, again, Lads Holiday, most people go on them. The second one, Gap Year, most people have a gap year. I had a gap year. I didn't go travelling, I worked. But, point being, I had a gap year. Yeah, it's fun. Not what to say, really.
Yeah, you're right. They hold up very well. They don't feel like they've aged particularly. Great performances, and as you say, they've got those archetypal characters that everyone knows at school. And they're just funny.
Because even down to like the head of sixth, so we're talking Greg Davis here. I love Greg Davis, and my head of sixth wasn't a nutter like Greg. Well, no, sorry, Mr. Davis isn't a nutter. Mr. Gilbert isn't a nutter. He's just scary and intimidating. My head of sixth was probably about 5'4", but built like a brick shithouse. So he scared you for just a different reason.
Yeah.
The car itself is a funny character. My mate had back in the day, it was a decent-ish car, but it started to fall apart, and we'd be driving back from a festival, and the window would randomly fall down, the lights would go off on the motorway, like, fucking hell, we're gonna die. But yeah, it's just, I rewatched them all recently, and they were still just as fun. They're like a comfort blanket, I think.
Yeah, no, they are. They are good. They are good.
I've lost count how many I've talked about now, so I'll throw over to you.
That's all right. My next is Hot Fuzz.
Ah, yes, the middle of the Cornetto trilogy.
Well, I was tossing up between this or Shaun of the Dead. I like The World's End, but I think everyone would agree it's not the best of the trilogy.
I like The World's End because, again, it's one of those, it's just a little bit too silly to be taken seriously, whereas Hot Fuzz is set very much in reality. We have murderers.
Yeah.
And then Shaun of the Dead's a very good parody.
Well, I mean, Shaun of the Dead's a real zombie film that just happens to be funny.
Which almost parodies. I think it's Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah. but do you know what I mean? So I think I've gone with Hot Fuzz because it's an out-and-out comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's actually some great action in it. Obviously, performances. It's not just Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. You've got
Jim
great.
Broadbent.
You've got Jim Broadbent. You've got Timothy Dalton. It's just fantastic.
What's his face? Paddy Considine.
Yeah. And he's the other guy. Fuck me, Rafe Spall.
That's him.
You've got
Olivia Colman. Dame Olivia
Colman's
Colman.
Brilliant in it again. Kevin Eldon.
Bill Bailey. Is it Edward Woodward?
Iwa Wuwa. You've just
deal with it.
Just brilliant cast. And yeah, I love Shaun of the Dead. I genuinely love Shaun of the Dead, but I just think Hot Fuzz just pips it in terms of like the comedy and the genre, the police action movie kind of thing. It means a slasher movie, serial killer movie as well. Yeah, just great.
One of my favorite lines. Well, no, I'm gonna preface this with two different things. So first off, Hot Fuzz, to keep it on topic. So I lived in the southwest for a little bit, and you travel to various different villages every now and again for a day out, don't you? Yeah. And I've been to Glastonbury several times and some of the surrounding villages, and it really is like that. That postcard picturesque area, and they really all do sound like that. And the whole, we're trying to win the flower show this year. It's legit.
Yeah.
And I've not been to Wells to look around, but I've been through it, and yeah, I think piss-takiness of it is well founded. And come back to Shaun of the Dead. One of my favourite lines from that is in the opening, and it's what you're all a bit like after a couple of beers. You're slightly offensive, but it's actually a term of endearment. Can I get any of you a drink? I find that so funny. I don't know why, because it's terrible. Why would you call your mate that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
You all like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's not about the zombies.
But no, they're a great trilogy of films, but I just think out of the three, I'm going to go with Hot Fuzz on that one.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd like them to do something different, because Paul was pretty good, but I'd like them to come back to Edgar Wright.
Yeah, that'd be nice if they came and did something else with him. Yeah.
I've forgotten if I'm at 4 or 5.
Well, I've just done 4.
Okay, so I've probably got one left.
Okay.
It's got to be a film in it. It's got to be.
Go on then.
What film could it be? Because I Back to the Future is a sci-fi comedy, kinda, but I wouldn't put that in here as a comedy because it's not like an out and out.
True. Yeah.
But yeah. I'll be honest, I don't really know what else is a comedy film, just because I don't think I've seen many in recent years anyway. A very funny film. There's films with funny bits in it. But yeah, okay. I'll tell you some of my favorite. They used to be like, you get home late at night and you just stick it on because it's amusing. The 21 Jump Street movies. Yeah, I found them really good.
They're very good.
And I've never watched the originals, but some good cameos. And that crossover with Men in Black would have been quite fun, just because it would have been stupid.
Yep.
But yeah, 21 Jump Street used to be on 22. Used to be a really great come home after a night out. You just stick it on the telly at university or whatever, and you have a giggle.
Yeah, they are great films.
And one of my favourite bits in it, I was talking to a friend the other day, and this got spoilt for them because they'd seen clips of it.
Right.
With Ice Cube realising something had happened with one of his family members. I'm just going to leave it at that because you haven't seen it. It's one of the best reveals ever. It's fucking brutal.
Do you mean the look on his face?
Yeah. And then Schmidt just having to sit there and take it, and Channing Tatum acting like a child. It's so fun. Channing Tatum I think, is an underrated comedic actor.
He is. He's very. Have you seen Bullet Train?
Oh yeah. And talking of Bullet Train, that character, is it a sex thing? Think back to This Is the End with Seth Rogen and all that.
Yeah.
he plays
the
sex
gimp
gimp in that.
kind
Yeah,
of thing, yeah.
he's known for it. See, you've said that now. My brain's like super bad. What a comedy that is.
Oh, I wasn't keen on that,
Were you not?
No,
Oh, I liked it.
no. It was one that I got why people liked it. I got why it was popular, but it just wasn't my thing. That's all I can
Gosh.
say.
Anyway, no,
So,
that's fair. But yeah, I think I just panicked a bit and said 21. But yeah,
but no, that's a good shout. They're great films. They're hilarious. Um, I've got loads left, but I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with one more,
go on.
and it's a TV one. Oh, there's two. No, gonna go with one more, but I have got a few honourable mentions.
Yeah, me too.
Right, TV, and again I'm cheating slightly. League of Gentlemen, stroke Psychoville, stroke Inside Number 9.
Yeah, fair. I'll allow it.
The whole team, well, not the whole team because they didn't all make all of them, but those shows from that creative pool, just brilliant. League of Gentlemen obviously was just like, again, there's just like nothing on TV like that before. Psychoville was just Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith as a proper full-on horror comedy. And then Inside Number 9 is still going strong. And how they manage to come up with new stories every time just baffles me.
Agreed.
But I think it's one of those shows. What really attracted me to it is, now I'm going to do the thing that you keep trying to do, indicate how old I am. But one of the things I remember watching on TV when I was growing up were like the 60s and 70s horror movies, not British ones, not necessarily the Hammer ones, but more like Amicus and other companies. Slightly cheesy things like Monster Club, which was like an anthology movie. I think there were 3 or 4
Right, okay.
separate stories in it, and you can see in the shows that these guys have made, and I mean they talk about it in the interviews and commentaries and so on. Anyway, their love of the 60s and 70s like British horror. Things like Wicker Man, which obviously they referenced in Inside Number 9, the anthology horror movies, which they kind of pay tribute to in the League of Gentlemen Christmas special, which was a series of stories. Just those whole kind of, just that kind of good old British horror movies.
Mm.
The kind of the grotesque characters, the dark humor, it's all there, and you can see how much they love those kind of things. There's things like the Theatre of Blood, the Vincent Price movie, Dr. Phibes or Phoebes, however you pronounce it. You can see those kind of influences in all the stuff that they make, and yeah, I just love it. I kind of got the wavelength straight away.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can describe it,
Yeah.
And ever since League of Gentlemen, I'll just watch anything they do. And Inside Number 9, I just think
We're big fans of that.
we are big fans, and I
Okay.
think that is going to be the thing that those two at least are going to be remembered for.
Let's do some honourable mentions, and then we can do the worst we've ever seen. So,
Sure.
Honourable mentions for me. I mean, we can't do an episode of comedies and not talk about Ricky Gervais and The Office.
Yep.
Both American and the British one, although the British one's better.
Yep.
The awards speak for themselves. Ricky, I'm rewatching Extras at the moment.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
just as fun as I remembered it being.
Yeah.
But those shows are fantastic.
Yep.
Afterlife. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I like slapstick, so I was always a fan of the things like Jackass and Dirty Sanchez was just obscene, but slapstick with Knoxville, most of the stuff that Knoxville does, I think it's just so funny because he's inspired by Buster Keaton and some of those stunts.
Yes.
I like the Jackass franchise. Number 4 and 4.5 was great fun, but again, it's that obscene comedy that is out just disgusting.
Yeah. I'm going to go as an honourable mention for film is Borat, the first one.
It's nice.
Is nice. Just saw that in a cinema, and I have never been in that. Some films you've got to see with the crowd, right? And I think comedy is one of those ones where the atmosphere just feeds more and more laughs.
Yeah.
And I've never been in a cinema where everyone has been simultaneously laughing, cringing, gasping all the way through all the right moments, and you come out of it and your face is aching. And you're like, what the fuck have I just seen? How did he not get killed making that
Because
film?
I assume you've seen the second one.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's not as good.
See, I enjoyed it because I think he took it to another level of
Yeah,
he is lucky he didn't get killed.
yeah, true,
But
true.
it's I mean Sacha Baron Cohen I think has done some good stuff for comedy, but I also think he's done some terrible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on, any more?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Like, comedy is so subjective. I've seen some funny films. That's about it, really. There's some TV shows that everyone raves about. It's hilarious. Oh, my face was hurting. I watch it and go, no, that's not funny at all. I don't know what you're on about. And there's something like I think my sense of humor is quite dark. So I like a black comedy.
Oh yeah, me too.
But again, from the top of my head, I just can't. I can't really think. I should have done some more prep, really. But like, there's certain things like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Honorable mention.
Yep.
It's a serious film, but this is one of the best fight scenes ever because it's with sex toys. It's so silly.
It's just brilliant. Just brilliant. And again, that slapstick element in there as well. I think my last one is going to be The Day-to-Day stroke Brass Eye.
Oh, it's Chris Morris?
Chris Morris and Amanda Iannucci was on The Day-to-Day as well. It's his thing. So The Day-to-Day started out as a radio show called On the Hour, a fake news program transferred to TV. And then Brass Eye was Chris Morris on his own at Channel 4, which went down the spoof documentary route. And they are both just pitch perfect.
Oh, I've just remembered an honourable mention. We're not allowed to talk or like about it. We're not allowed to like it anymore, but at the time, thinking Chris Morris, sorry, the ITE crowd, but I won't mention it anymore because I'm not allowed to like Linehan.
That's fair enough. Understood.
Sorry.
And of course, the day, well, On the Hour and The Day-to-Day, of course, was the birthplace of one Alan Partridge.
Aha!
Which I think that deserves an honourable mention, just for the longevity of the character and the way he fits so many different formats. Because he started out on The Day-to-Day and On the Hour as the sports desk presenter, and then he had a chat show, and then he had the sitcom in terms of like living in the travel tavern or wherever it was, and then it was like This Time
that was
with
good.
Alan Partridge, so it was back as like the spoof magazine show. So the how the character, and then there's the film in between that and all that kind of thing. So how he's been able to keep the character relevant and updated and fresh, I think has been really well done. He even did a couple of fake like spoof documentaries for Sky as well, which again are just fantastic. So I think that character through all those different formats has worked really well, and yeah. And I think that's it. I've got more, but we're going to be going on forever.
So I know. We'll turn it to the dark side of comedy now, which are the shit ones that should never have been made.
Now I'm going to caveat this with a thing about TV and film in general, right? Nobody sets out to make a bad film or
Agreed.
TV.
Okay, fair.
Everyone in it, not everyone, but the intention is to make the best thing you can make. No one sets out to go, I want this to be shit. So when I'm talking about something I fucking hate, that's with apologies to everybody involved. They were all doing their best. Maybe not all of them doing their best, but they all wanted the best result.
You tried your best, but not quite hard enough.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
But nevertheless, the film I'm going to mention in a few minutes, I fucking love. But I'll
You
let you
love
do
it?
yours.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll let you do yours first.
Okay, so Dumb and Dumber was a great success. Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels.
Mm.
And a number of years later, they did a prequel called Dumb and Dumberer When Harry Met Lloyd. I
Yeah.
remember watching it at the time going, yeah, ha 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 ha. And it was only then did I then watch the actual sequel, which I think was unneeded, but it still captured the essence of the original Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Did I realise how bad Harry Met Lloyd was?
Yeah.
And it was just unneeded. Like even the sequel was unneeded. But I think the bit that made Dumb and Dumber work was Daniels and Carey. If you take them out of those characters, it doesn't work, and it's somebody trying to imitate, and that is always the problem with anything, whether it's a comedy or something else. If you've got somebody trying to be another person who's already played that character, you can't get that, I hate to say it, the better portrayal out of your mind.
Yeah.
That's my bad one.
No, I think that's fair. I think visually, the guys they cast as the characters looked okay.
Oh yeah.
You know, they kind of okay. That looks a bit like Jeff Daniels. That looks a bit like
The other
Jim
one,
Carrey. But yeah, it's just why? Because as you say, there's those characters were so Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. I mean that was them. Anything else is just a bad impression. Yeah, I'd agree with that one. Mine is the 2003 film The Producers.
You not think it's 2005 actually?
Is it?
You wanna update your
check that.
sources?
Let me check that 1 second. Mine is the 2005 film The Producers.
Seamless.
Which is the film version of a stage musical based on the original 1967 Mel Brooks film. Now, the original film, Mel Brooks, classic comedy, leave that one well alone, no complaints. The musical, I'll be honest, never seen it, the stage musical. Don't know whether it's good or bad or what. But film version of the musical is unwatchable. And it's because they're not changing their performances to be in a film. They're performing like they're on a stage and the person 300 feet away in the back row has got to see and hear everything they do. So they're massively over performing.
That over-the-top caricature-esque that musical theatre is.
Yeah, because if you're sat in a theatre hundreds of feet away, you need to see what they're doing. Subtlety doesn't work, right? But they're not in a theatre. They're stood 3 feet in front of a fucking camera.
Yelling.
That picks up everything, and they're yelling and over gesticulating, and it's awful.
I'm gonna have to watch this now.
The only reason I sat through that film was because Will Ferrell's in it, and I thought
weird person, I'd avoid it.
And I thought, if nothing else, Will Ferrell can come in at the end and save this film, and that does not happen. And it's an awful, awful, hateful film. And that's me. That's my choice.
Yeah, I mean, there's I think films that don't need a prequel, don't need a sequel. You know, like decades after. Remakes of films that are trying to be a different film. So Booksmart's a good example. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't needed, wasn't necessary. And it's a bit like Disney having the issue where they need to keep remaking their films to avoid losing rights. So the Ghostbusters rehash with Paul Feig? Yeah, it's Paul Feig, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, it was unnecessary. Afterlife was coming a year or so down the line.
Well, they didn't know that though at the time, did they?
Well, I'm surprised. But, that was a film that was unneeded. It got a few chuckles, but you can't touch the original. Even Afterlife, as fun as it was, it's not as funny as the first two. But, there are comedies. It's something that you really, really liked, and I tried to watch it and it got better. It was Auntie Donna's House of Fun. Now, again, it's that absurd comedy, and I'm trying to get through Tim Robinson's I Think You Should Leave. Or I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson on Netflix.
Yes.
And that's a very typical American comedy. Lots of loud shouting and just over-the-topness, which the Yanks seem to love.
There is, but there's a couple of sketches in that. You've seen the one in the first season, I think it's the first sketch of the first season, where the guy's trying to leave the cafe and he's pushing the door.
That's the second. Way. That's a job interview in the second season.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
that what it is?
I watched it the other day, actually. That is funny.
He's refusing to acknowledge he's pushing the door the wrong way. And it's
just he doesn't want to look like a twat in front of his employer. Yeah.
And that just cracks me the fuck up. And the other one where the argument in the car park where the guy goes, "Don't you know how to drive?" And he's like, "No." Have you seen that one?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, maybe you've still got to get to that. But there's an argument, two guys arguing over a parking space. And one basically says, "Do you not know how to drive?" And the other one's like, "No." And then it just kind of escalates from there.
Okay.
But that, again, that's that absurdist humour.
Yeah, which I think I struggle with.
Where they kind of push things, and Auntie Donna do the same. They push it, and they push it, and they push it.
I like the musical elements of that. I like musical comedy. So again, honourable mention, because it's all coming back to me. Flight of the Conchords, that kind of stuff I really like. Likes of Tim Minchin. I think if you can writing songs is hard. I know that very well.
Yeah.
Writing music is a gift.
Yes.
You can play music, but actually coming up with it is a different story.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think trying to be funny whilst writing music is even harder.
Yeah.
And Lee Evans was one of my all-time favourite comics. I don't watch him very often anymore, but because one, he's retired, but two, I don't know where the DVDs are. Anyway, he used to finish his shows with a song, which are always a bit weird.
Yeah.
Again, it's a talent, and they were amusing.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. Comedy's good when you find something that just tickles you. Because it's like a lot of the films I watch or TV shows, I'm not even kind of laughing out loud, but it's just that chuckle, or you appreciate the gag, the inside joke, or there's so many. I mean, my list of honourable mentions is longer than my actual other list. You know what I mean? There's just so much stuff. But yeah, there we are, comedy.
And what a fun time we had talking about it.
I think we managed to get through it, didn't we? So, if there's if anyone's got any recommendations, leave some comment on it, and and feedback. Any comedy recommendations? And
or if we've got it drastically wrong, you should let us know, because everyone's got a fucking opinion. The fact that we haven't had any opinions thrown at us is remarkable. So
well, everyone else's opinions is just wrong. That's that.
But yeah, that's it. Thank you to Warren again for coming to talk to us, spending some time.
Absolutely.
Nothing like free advertising, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's any of our choices you disagree with, well, tough. Suggest something better, and we might check it out.
But yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah, see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.